I've got to ask where you learned that lesson or that skill set, or because that's something that not only did I not have for the longest time. And listening to your conversation with Russ, I know you were talking about it a little bit, and you guys got into like different potential influences like Brene Brown and stuff like that. Who taught you that? Like who taught you that it was important to not give up?
I think ultimately I've just been put in positions where my back were against the wall, man, and life kind of threw those scenarios at me. Like when my wife told me she was pregnant with my kid, that was like fuck. That was like I was inspired at that point before we found out about that, but like when I found out we were going to have a baby, that is also a moment in my life where things just really turned on. Like my daddy, I love my daddy, but he kind of wasn't really there for me in the way that I knew I was always going to be there for my kid. I was always, there's nothing that's going to take me away. I'm never going to risk anything to not be able to have my kid around, because I don't really know exactly how I was negatively affected by not having my dad around. My wife says she sees shit. I actually go to therapy, and she's clearly, like, yeah, you have daddy issues and shit. I never blame my dad for nothing. I still got mad love for my dad, but like, there's definitely things that I suffer from as a result of not having him there. But in any case, yeah, dude, it was just like life threw situations at me where it was sink or swim. And for whatever reason or another, I chose to swim, and that's not to say I had it all figured out, and I never do have it all figured out, but I'm keen to fucking keep swimming and do everything I can to stay above water,
But that's so fascinating to me because I do counseling too, and something that whenever we interview you guys, we don't want to waste time telling our stories because this is about you, but something that my counselor told me was like we go through the whole thing, the history, and that and I've got my dad's like a similar story. I knew my dad, but he wasn't around. My parents divorced when I was young, and then he passed. So you get time with him, but like only so much.
Yeah.
And he told me, like I've done stupid things, but for whatever reason, I have a pretty strong like self-preservation quality to me. Like I never took anything to that extent, or if I did, I course corrected, So I guess I'm just fascinated to know like now, because when I heard you speaking with Russ, based on the words you use when you describe certain things, based on the amount of energy that you bring to it, based on the, I guess I'm just curious, like who motivated you to develop this sharp kind of no quit mindset, because I think it's really helpful. I think it's something that newer trainers could really benefit from.
Yeah.
Well, to be honest, like I said, I really attribute a lot of that type of stuff to my mom making me play sports, because sports is especially baseball. You're just really faced with a lot of failure, man. Like like a lot, especially as an offensive player. For anybody that doesn't know about, baseball and numbers and statistics, in any other sport there is, being successful 30% of the time is absolutely horrific. But in baseball, as an offensive player, if you're successful 30% of the time, you'll make it into their Hall of Fame. So that means 70% of the time offensively, you're likely failing. And so it literally forces you to learn how to fail. And I know for a fact that when I failed unhealthily, it was because I would let that failure trickle into my next effort. And if I'm dwelling on that failure, if I'm dwelling on those L's and I'm not thinking about the next thing I have in front of me, then I'm already setting myself up to fail again. And so it wasn't until I started to mature a little bit as an offensive player that I was able to do something stupid, completely leave that shit back there, and then move forward and focus on the next task. And almost, I had such belief in myself. I knew what I was capable of, and that went for and against me, because I know I'm better than what I just portrayed. And so I'm like, you motherfucker, you're better than that. But also, once I was able to leave that shit at the back door, I'm like, it was a fluke. I'm going to get his fucking ass this time, And so like, it's a mind game, man. And so the mental that I sort of acquired, you just mental strength and mental fortitude really you can only have that if you have crawled through shit and learned how to fail and persevered through difficult times. So
Right. I guess that's why I'm
as
so
far as
fascinated, because almost nobody has that. You realize that? Like almost nobody.
as far as from an individual standpoint, man, there's tons of people that inspire me, dude. I follow a lot of guys that aren't even really relatively known that I know have been through a lot of shit. Like, anybody that's been through a lot of shit that wakes up every day, like hungry, like the rent is due, even though they already have money. Like, it's not even about the money, man. Like the money is like Jonas would say, like the money is just a byproduct of being relentless and passionate and really, truly like the young dog trainers listening to this right now. If you're getting into the game, man, focus on helping people and the money will eventually fucking take care of itself. Like, because the more people you actually help, it's just automatic. They're going to tell other people that you help them. Right, and so, at the beginning of this shit, I got so much of my name out there because we did nothing but rescue shit. And we essentially did it for free. I made barely my money back on every dog that I fucking got. And I was able to utilize those dogs to practice my skills. And I made people's families complete, and I made a lot of people happy, and I really put my heart into that. And, I documented it all, and it was like a family vibe. Your family's complete. And so that brings people together, makes people really happy, and you've changed their lives and you've helped them. And that is what sort of ultimately got to the point now where, I put a price on my work, and if it's take it or leave it now. Back in the day when I was fucking starving, it was like, whoa, I made $1 dog training. Like, what the fuck, So
yeah,
right.
So and you started with bully breeds, right?
Yeah. I definitely kind of like I'm a bully breed guy. Just attracted by them, their athleticism, their drive.
Yep.
I'm a bully guy. I'm a bully breed guy for sure. I don't know if I'll ever own another one. A different breed. Maybe I will. Maybe I won't. My next dog already, I haven't picked out. It's going to be a little bully breed. Cross between a Canis Panther and also an XL American Bully. Nobody knows about that. This is the first time I've said that out loud, but the breeding just happened. So yeah, it's gonna be.
That's gonna be an interesting looking dog.
Yeah, it'll be a big dog. Yeah, but gotta let the big dogs eat. But yeah, so I feel like I'm talking a lot again, guys.
No, that's what you're here for, man.
Yeah.
That's what you're here for. Well, so who are some of those people that you were talking about that influence you, outside of dog training?
Oh yeah,
who are some people you look up to?
Well, some of the more popular people, I really, really love David Goggins.
I love Goggins.
Marine guy. It's from the more popular vantage points. It's
he's a SEAL.
I love Gary V.
Yep.
Gary V is a guy that
he's a G.
Yeah, it's like it's everything he says. I'm like, I just always nod my head, like, yeah, dude, yes. It's like kind of like, I fucking did that and I do that, and so like I really connect with.
It just reaffirms it.
Yeah, there you go. There's just like really a lot of affirmations there. It's like doing it for free at first, like that's the best way to do it. Like that's how Walt Disney did it.
Right.
I mean, fuck.
Right.
True. Yeah, sure. I watched the documentary.
Fuck, dude. I only learned that because I went to Disneyland the other day and I talked to an old timer sitting there talking to his old timer about Walt Disney and how he basically invented marketing without knowing it. Like he was like one of the first fucking marketers.
Well, that's why he's Walt fucking Disney.
Yeah, that's why you pay $80 for a T-shirt and you don't bat your eyes twice. You just do it.
Right. Exactly.
So yeah, so guys like that, and then I got guys like that have served, that I know have just crawled through just the ultimate shit and have just the ultimate trauma that just try to make their lives better every day. And, I think, those type of, just anybody that's kind of like about shit that more than just themselves, like when there's a cause greater than themselves, like for real, like my cause greater than myself is my dogs and my family. And that's really all I really need. And of course, my homies in that, but I mean, your why is usually like the most fucking, like obviously my daughter, my wife, and my dogs, like that's everything to me. So yeah, that's it. Hopefully that answers your question.
That's an amazing answer.
Hey, do you know who Andy Frisella is?
Actually, I played with his brother Sal. Sal's a
Oh, you
former
played with
baseball
Sal?
player.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
played with
yeah,
Sal. He hasn't changed. The
Okay.
same guy, and those guys, those boys' energy is the same from when I actually never met Andy, but
Okay.
100%. There's another couple of guys that fully inspire me, and I've never bought a single First Form product, which I should, because like he's the homie, but it's not like he needs my help. But yeah, I know who Andy Facil is. His podcast is fucking legit.
Yeah, I was curious because you played in St. Louis, right? So,
Yeah, so
you
that's
know,
how I know Sal. Is Sal
yeah, yeah.
played. We played for the Cardinals together. Yeah, guys like that. I agree with them in so many different capacities, from work ethic to just the way they think about life, the way they think about the way they approach their business, and probably political as well. I mean, but yeah, we were going to get too far into the political thing, but I don't care. I'll talk
Later in the
about whatever.
podcast. Later in the podcast, we'll
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you're good to talk about whatever, bro.
Yeah.
Just quick question for you. I'm just curious. That's on a personal level. I'm an uncle. I don't have kids yet, but I think I'm getting close here. Do you plan on putting your daughter in sports?
Yeah, we actually already have her in soccer.
Okay.
And yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens with that. I already can kind of tell I'm not going to be like the type of dad that's going to like ruin it for her. Like I'm fully
Right.
like
Right.
I'm like so keen on people just doing what makes them happy that I would never be even though I have such an athletic background, I would literally never like force like kind of like make her do some shit that I want to vicariously live through her and shit like that.
Right.
Like,
Right.
I
Right.
want her to find something that lights her eyes up, and if I don't know if it's soccer. Like my wife wants it to be soccer because she was a sick ass soccer player. So like, but we got her in soccer right now. We're probably going to try some swimming because she's real long and she loves
Okay.
the water.
Oh, right. Yeah.
She loves the water. She loves playing in water. She's fearless about it. And every time we go on vacation, she's just like won't get out of the pool and shit. So
It's a little
we
dolphin.
think maybe swimming would be cool. So yeah, definitely. I definitely want some sort of sport in some capacity just because I know the lessons that it just throws at you. Like you have
Right.
to learn.
Right.
That's one thing that I've learned watching kids grow up, like my nieces and nephews, my mentors' kids, friends of kids that I respect, is coordination is such a huge thing. And like I remember seeing a 4-year-old on a unicycle being like, what? Or when I go snowboarding and there's a little 6-year-old fucking doing like grinds and shit. And I'm like, what the fuck? Like I couldn't do that shit when I was 6. And, and I've seen these kids grow up, my boss's kids, where they were just super coordinated when they were small, which led to super coordinated when they were kids, which made them super competitive in sports, which made them very, very desired by society. You know what I mean? Especially when you grow up in high school and middle school and stuff like that, and they're super humble, but they're fucking beasts at whatever it is that they decide to do. And it's really interesting because when you get put in a situation, like in dog training, if you get a challenge that you can be successful at, and then that challenge gets a little harder, and then that challenge gets a little harder, it builds your confidence and drive to keep doing that thing. And so
100%.
it's really, really cool.
Just say I'm working with a case right now that I feel like that's going to happen because I'm working with Jonas on it. Like it's again just another vantage point, and I think the conversation I've been having with him has really empowered me, and it's excited me about a situation where I was kind of like, oh man, how am I going to approach this one specifically? Because it's like a really interesting case. So yeah, 100%. I fully agree. Sorry, what were you going to say?
No, I love. Thanks for sharing that. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna just cut for a commercial break, and we're gonna dive into a little bit more about your life. And what we want to dive into is how you started Team Floppy Years. So we're gonna cut to the commercial break.
Oh,
and
no
we'll come
doubt.
right back.
Hey guys, it's Brent with the Dog Trainers Podcast. Now, did you guys know that if you leave us a review, it's easier for people to find us on their podcast platforms? So please go ahead and leave us a review on whatever podcast platform you're on. We'd really appreciate it. And now let's get back to the show.